developing country emissions need to be held to up to 30% below the levels they would otherwise reach in 2020. And this is particularly true of the fast emerging countries like China, Brazil, India, but I would also include Malaysia, and in the Southeast Asia region and ASEAN, one should also look at other middle-income countries such as Thailand, Indonesia, and to some extent a lower middle-income country like Vietnam. Particularly, however, for the large emerging economies like China, India, it is simply no longer credible or realistic for these countries to continue to hide behind the label of developing countries. It's in fact not even in their interest. As Lord Stern has put it, tackling climate change is the pro-growth strategy for the longer term. Government has to provide incentives and a framework, but the low-carbon economy has to be a private sector-driven process. And the emerging economies can't rely on climate funding from the developed countries in order to take advantage of this. In other words, proactive climate adaptation strategies are needed to boost private sector interest. We have evidence from the European Union to show that this can work, that through creating a conducive platforms for industry cooperation, we can move ahead. Regulation, encouraging consumer demand for sustainable goods and services is one example. We need protection of intellectual property rights as well to promote research and technological development. And of course, we need market stability and predictability. These have proven to be very effective to attract investment in green technologies and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the European context. And this opportunity is also true for Malaysia, and it is being recognized as such. We very much recognize on the side of the EU the Malaysian commitment in doing its share in tackling climate change. These are important commitments, and we feel that Malaysia is on the right path. We do hope, nevertheless, that Malaysia will publish a national climate change policy in the coming months, and including a mitigation action plan. This would be an important signal to investors, both domestic and foreign, to come here and invest in particularly renewable energies and other energy efficiency policies. But over the past year or so, we have built up, between Malaysia and the European Union, a very strong partnership. And it's just a matter of building on the existing cooperation to further contribute to this sustainable future. I'll mention a few activities that we have developed. First of all, it concerns forestry and our cooperation on sustainable forestry in the framework of the ongoing negotiations on a EU-Malaysia agreement on the trade in legal timber. An agreement that, once finalized, we hope will very much be a platform for forest-related investment in this country. I'm convinced that a national mitigation policy, including forest measures, will attract very significant investor interest from European carbon investors coming to Malaysia. A second area where we have cooperated very, very well with Malaysia is the EU-Malaysia Green Technology Agenda, led on the Malaysian side by Minister Peter Chin himself. It was set up last year in order to support Malaysia's endeavour to transition towards a green growth economy. Over the past year, we have engaged in policy dialogue, we have engaged in an exchange of know-how, and later on this year, in October, we will cooperate on a business-to-business cooperation in the framework of a very large conference happening here in Kuala Lumpur under the auspices of the Ministry of Energy and Green Technology. Furthermore, the EU is financing a €4 million projects, two projects in the area that are highly relevant for fighting climate change. One of these has to do with the promotion of the use of biomass in small and medium-sized enterprises in Malaysia, and the second of them concerns the promotion of the government's sustainable development, economic development policy. We're very keen to engage further with Malaysia in these fields, and we hope to have additional projects on energy, on environment, and also in the RTD sphere in the coming months. The European Union is also dialoguing on these issues with ASEAN. We do so in the framework of a regional programme that we have, the EU-ASEAN Dialogue Initiative. But I must admit that this dialogue is still under development, and clearly the sort of topics that Tan Sri Rafida has mentioned are very, very interesting, very much offering a potential for further dialogue. Not so much to say that the EU has the model for ASEAN to use, but certainly a number of practices are in existence in Europe that ASEAN might reflect upon in developing its own environmental profile. One area where we have worked together with ASEAN is on the topic of biofuels, and a further biofuels workshop is in the pipeline for later this year. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to have been able to describe some of the activities that we have developed with Malaysia, and as well as with some of the other countries here. It shows of a great engagement from the side of the Malaysian government that we have been able to do so, an engagement that we are keen to continue to reciprocate. And I particularly would like to pick up on the point also made by Tan Sri Rafida on the aspect of awareness raising, where we have still quite some work to do. And conferences such as these are definitely most helpful in promoting that objective. Thank you very much indeed.